Leave it to Cody in the chair.
Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Livingston Parish regular meeting, Thursday, April 27th, 2023, 6 p.m. Invocation is going to be given by Mr. Talbot.
Miss Sandy's gonna leave the invitation.
I think Mr.
Before we do the invocation, I want to let everybody know that Mr. Girdinghouse's mother is not doing good at all. They think she had a stroke. She's already was bedridden. So we want everybody to keep him and his family in their prayers.
Please say an extra prayer for that.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you tonight. We thank you so much that we're able to stand and be free in the place that we stand tonight. We pray for Councilman Tracy Girdinghouse, for his family, and for the restoration of his mom's health. Lord, we thank you so much for being able to be here, and we thank you for grace and your mercy that's on our prayers. And it's in Jesus' name.
Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Shane Mack.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Sandy.
Mr. Wascom is absent. Mr. Delat?
Here.
Mr. Ard?
Here.
Mr. Mack?
Here.
Mr. Girdinghouse is absent. Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Talbert?
Here.
Ms. Sandifer? Here. Mr. McMorris?
Here. All right. We have 2 absent, 7 present. So the majority is going to be 4 in all our votes. Anyone have any cell phones, we're going to ask you at this time to please mute them or turn them off. Public input. Anyone wishing to address any agenda items, raise your hand and I will recognize you. One time only, okay? We have some presentations today. The Master Plan Review Committee update and report is done by Mr. Gerald Burns. He's the chairman.
My name is Gerald Burns. I'm the chairman of the Livingston Parish Master Plan Review Committee. I want to thank you all for giving us an opportunity to come and explain to you what we've been doing. You should have the recent road list in your package. About a month ago, several of us met with Ms. Connie Porter Betts, and she is directly under Dr. Eric Calavoda, who is DOTD Secretary. She's over planning. And we met with her to get the latest cost of roads and roundabouts and interchanges. And I was kind of shocked that due to inflation, things have really increased. And of course, if you, on 4-lane roads is all that we asked her to give us. If it's asphalt roads, it's $7 million a mile. If it's concrete, it's 10.5. Roundabouts, 4 lanes, 7.5. Interstate interchanges is 44 million. I know when Jubilee Road interchange is done, it was 18. So things have, the inflation has really drove interchanges up a lot. So anyway, she gave us this information, and I put it together, and in red and the right is the cost I used, and my wife typed it up for me. So the right-hand side, the roads, I used concrete as the higher figure because I know she said in Jubilee Road is concrete. And probably most roads will be concrete, but due to inflation, in 5 years, the prices that you listed here will be what it is. So I kind of I went to the high side. There was one change on here, item 15, and when we come before the council with a resolution, we asked for item 15 on-off ramps westbound on Forest Club Road, and we met with Representative Buddy Mincy and the mayor of Denham Springs, and they want a full interchange. So I give the price of a full interchange with all the phenomenal growth going now on Forest Club Road. You need the interchange there yesterday. So we pushing for that too, and we'll come back later on. Of course, the city of Dun Springs, they want to widen 4-H Club Road from the interstate to Florida with a 4-lane roundabout in Florida, because that traffic backs up bad there going north. So we'll come back later on and ask y'all to do that. I want to tell you that in the master plan calls for growing the economic corridor, which lies a little bit north of the railroad tracks and a little south of I-12, to grow the corridor and bring manufacturing and industry and commercial and residential into the corridor, to grow the tax base for this parish, sales taxes and millages, to fund roads, social services, schools, drainage, fire, police, and all the rest of them. And so that's why we need to grow the corridor. East Baton Rouge Parish and Ascension Parish, they have the Mississippi River, and industry comes on the river, and they get a lot of money based upon the industry off the Mississippi River. The is our Mississippi River. So we need to grow this corridor to bring more growth and for our tax base. The other thing, that back to the road list, to get these road projects or any of them, state and federal, we need to have, the parish has to have a 20% match. And that's for studies and actual construction of roads. And if you don't have, this parish don't have the 20% match. And if you can see the last page, we're talking at the present time, we're 336 million. 20% of that's going to be 70-something million. So how are we going to get the 20% match? If we don't get the match, we can't build these roads unless it's a built-in factor when you put out the bids on the road. So I'm asking the council to consider that and to come up with a solution on the 20% match. And I would like to hear some ideas, if I can, on how can we do that.
Any questions on that? Information or advice from Mr. Burns at this time? It's a legitimate concern, guys. If we don't see a way to get this match, it makes it harder to get the money. That's generally understood, but maybe we may have to change the priorities. And we spent a lot of work in doing this. I think we should maybe create a task force to help Mr. Burns find out where we can do this.
Well, anyway.
I don't know what the answer is.
So Gerald,
We gotta have more roads, we gotta have interchanges, we gotta have all this 4-lane done.
so what's our match at 20%?
20%.
66, 67 million, 68 million dollars?
To do these road projects
Under
today,
current dollars.
$70 million.
That's to widen the
No.
Florida Boulevard all the way to Woodside.
All these roads are not going to be built. I doubt any of them, except maybe the Jubilee extension, that will be done in 5 years. Let me bring you up to speed on Jubilee extension. As of right now, Senator Buddy Mincy and Rogers Pope have got, through capital outlay, $1.6 million. That's to start these environmental studies and right-of-way design and so forth. House Bill 2, which is strictly capital outlay, they're asking for $5.5 million under priority 5. Now, priority 1 is guaranteed money. Priority 5 is, well, maybe, some of it. We might get it all. We might just get a portion of it. But anything would be good to get on that extension. Now, that's just a road bed. That's not the overpass over the railroad tracks and the power lines and the roundabout on the other end, but that's just strictly for the road bed.
So the 7.5 million on Jubilee Road extension, that's for the roundabout at Lockhart. Because the roundabout at 190 has been put in, is supposed to be put in sometime this
Well,
century.
the latest that we see, Mr. Gary, on that is the end of 2024. They're working on the roundabout section now, and that'll be the end of the year before they do subsurface drainage. And that's next, and when the subsurface drainage is done, then they can start doing soil cement, is what they're telling me. So,
Mr. Burns, a question, because I don't know. If it was a higher priority in the state system, would the match be just as high, the same, no change? Because it seems
I
like to
don't
me,
know.
maybe our legislative delegation could work to get this a higher priority with the state, and maybe our match wouldn't be the same. It's a state road, and I know it's in the Livingston Parish, but they need to help us a little more. There's no way a rural parish with no industry can come up with that kind of money.
Yeah. I don't know about the match on Juvenile Extension. I don't know who give that, okay, or if that's a built-in factor, I don't know. But that's the only project right now on this list that the state is working on, or we've got funding for. So,
Guys, say something.
Yes, sir.
I was just saying, you know, it'd be good if we could go to some of the master planning committee meetings and try to lay out some options on where we could get these matching funds. And then once we identified where we could get the matching funds, then we could, you know, work to get them. You know, maybe there's grants out there that we could apply for to help us get the matching funds. You know, I don't know exactly what the answer is tonight, but I do agree that these projects are very important as far as infrastructure improvements for the people of Livingston Parish. And we need to work as a team with the legislators and others, you know, to fund these projects. So I'm committed, you know. I have two major commitments that I'm really going to work hard on in the near future, and that's to widen the Florida Boulevard and then the 449 extension. So our master plan committee has been meeting with Senator Bill Cassidy at least twice in the last 2 years, and he come up with some suggestions for us to do that we'll be bringing back at a later date. Okay, I don't want to go into it tonight because it's a little lengthy, so. But I just want y'all to brainstorm. I want to say one last thing real quick. I just want to thank Mr. Gerald Burns and the Master Planning Committee. They've been working extremely hard. They've been going to several meetings. They take time out of their life to go to these meetings to help us, you know, implement these projects. And so it's really a positive thing. And just keep up the good work, and we're with you, and we're going to work together as a team to try to make some of this happen.
We're going to be coming back probably monthly on what we're doing on interchanges, especially, and working with people, and it's kind of exciting to be able to do that. I was part of the original CIA gang that was worked with our elected leaders and other ones to do the Juvenile Road interchange, and I was part of that process, and I kind of know how it works and how the MPO works, and it's kind of exciting for me to do that. You know, I really enjoy that. So, anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Gerald. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gerald. Next item on the agenda is item 8. Mr. Shane knows item number 9. Number 8 has been pulled. Blaine Honeycutt has pulled that. Item number 9 is adopt a resolution, and that's going to be Mr. Shane Mack.
Appreciate you, Randy. So yeah, this is adopt a resolution to proclaim May 9th, 2023 as Fentanyl Awareness Day in Livingston Parish. I'm going to try to say this without getting emotional. I guess that's a little bit too late. But anyway, so there you go. So to be quite honest with you, you expect adult men and women to live righteously, to you know, to mentor our youth so that they make good decisions in life, you know, that don't destroy families, you know, to not drink and drive, and to just do the right thing, to not take drugs that are not prescribed to them, you know, and you know, to live. You expect adults to live through positive behavior, to mentor the younger generation, steer them in the right direction. But whenever students step up to the plate to mentor the people about their friends and their family, I just think that's honorable. So Mr. Dylan Ivey contacted me through via email the other day, asking me if I would sponsor this resolution. Man, I jumped on it, I ain't gonna lie. I tried to beat every one of y'all to it. And it's an honor to have my name attached to this. You know, fentanyl, and we're going to let him talk. You know, we're going to let him go with this, but you know, fentanyl is a very dangerous drug, and it has destroyed many, many families that we all know, you know, in Livingston Parish. And we all need to do everything we can to educate everyone, you know, younger generation, adults, to, you know, to not go that direction. It's just not a good thing, and it destroys family. I believe it's a work of the devil to myself. You know, I think that he seeks out to destroy families. And so at this time, I'd like to invite whosoever, you know, whosoever that would like to come and talk about this, and I'd like to see everybody support this also.
Thank you, Ms. Mack.
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I'll just thank you all for y'all's time and openness to supporting this cause and creating awareness in our community. I'm Michael Dunlap. I'm Livingston Parish SAD Student of the Year, and Livingston Parish SAD is Students Against Destructive Decisions. It is a community-based nonprofit organization dedicated to young people's health and safety. Our organization empowers teens, engages parents, mobilizes communities, and changes lives. We accomplish this by educating our peers and on the dangers of making destructive decisions, such as using illicit drugs, drinking alcohol, underage, and vaping. LPSAT hosts community outreach events that contribute to the developing leadership and decision-making skills. The organization serves students and their families through evidence-based programs and awareness events that promote safety and wellness. In January, 6 of our students from our parish traveled to Washington, D.C. They attended the National Drug Prevention Youth Conference. These students were compelled by the research and information presented by the DEA regarding the fentanyl crisis our country is dealing with and exponentially increasing rates. With the local news starting to cover this epidemic, more and more our students felt motivated to raise awareness for lots of reasons for this issue. Fentanyl is here in our home of Livingston Parish. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid drug approximately 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine. Only 2 milligrams of fentanyl is enough to be a lethal dose. For comparison, this is about the size of the tip of a pencil. As unsettling as these statistics are, there is even more devastating facts to be considered. Fentanyl kills more Americans under 50 than any other death, including cancer, homicide, and suicide. This issue is just not a concept anymore. It is a reality, invading the homes of our families, friends, and neighbors and loved ones. It is destroying lives with no consideration for who you are. Fentanyl does not discriminate. Tonight, I'm joined by my peers in this room sitting behind me. They are current Livingston Parish SAD Student Leadership Council. We humbly ask for your support as we continue the fight, devastation that fentanyl has caused and continues to create here at home. This evening, we ask for your vote to adopt a resolution to proclaim May 9th, 2023 as Fentanyl Awareness Day in Livingston Parish. Fentanyl affects us all, fentanyl hurts us all, and fentanyl takes it all. Thank y'all.
Appreciate you, buddy. I'd like to make that motion, guys. I'd like to make that motion.
A second.
Motion by Mr. Mack and a second by Mr. King to adopt that resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. Unanimous. Item 10, council comments. I'm going to exercise the chair's privilege, and we're going to move that to underneath item 41. Item 11 is to adopt the minutes of the April 13th regular meeting of the Livingston Parish Council. Do I have a motion? We don't have it?
Defer
Okay.
to the next meeting, please.
Okay, it's defer. Item 12 is Parish President's Report. Mr. Leighton Riggs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The state is ready to move forward with a roundabout at Eden Church in Lockhart. Like all of you, I wish they would finish the one at Juban and 190. But anyway, I need your authorization to authorize me to sign off on any documents for them. No cost to us. It's a state project.
I have a motion by Mr. King and a second by Mr. Ord. All opposed? Pass unanimous.
Thank you, council. Next item is a resolution for Livingston Parish to join the Attorney General's lawsuit against FEMA. This is in order to challenge the insurance risk rating of the 2.0, which is causing everybody's flood insurance to skyrocket. No cost to the parish. This is all put through the state. Many other parishes, municipalities have already joined, and I assured them that we would like to participate with them.
I have a motion by Mr. McMorris and a second by Ms. Sandifer.
Thank you, council.
Motion is passed unanimous. Item 18, 17, where we at, 13. I'm gonna put the glasses back on.
It's okay.
13 is a public hearing and an adoption of Livingston Parish Ordinance number 23-06.
And this is for zoning classification of nonconformities and nonconforming uses.
Uses. Okay, we're going to open up a public hearing at this time for the public. Any comment on this? No comment, public hearing is closed. Mr. Shane, you want to make that motion?
Yeah, I'd love to make that motion.
Yes, I thought you, I'm sorry.
It's proposed ordinance 2306. This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 117 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish Zoning, Article 3, Nonconformities, Division 1, generally by adding Section 117-85, definitions, Section 117-86, nonconforming uses, and Division 2, types of conformities, Section 117-95, nonconforming lots, and Section 117-96, nonconforming structures in and for the parish of Livingston.
Just want to say a
Mr.
couple
Shane.
words as fast as possible. I know we're in a hurry to move forward. We got a lot of agenda items to cover, but I have to say something about this. So I'm very excited and proud to be a part of writing this ordinance here. You know, we've been talking about zoning Livingston Parish for a couple of years, and there's some council districts already adopted zoning maps. This right here, ordinance, is going to allow existing use to continue as it is forever, until the property owner decides to change or to sell that property as its future classification. It also allows structures to continue to exist, you know, regardless of how it's zoned in the future. This is a very good ordinance. This is what some call the grandfather clause. An example is, you know, if you have property and you're currently using it as residential property and it's zoned future use commercial, you'll be able to use that property for residential property until you so choose to, you know, I guess you could say sell it as commercial or put a commercial business on it. So this is really about protecting the citizens of Livingston Parish. A lot of people helped me write this. I'm not taking credit all by myself. There's a gentleman in the audience that really worked hard with me. His name's Mr. Gomez. He's very loyal to the Livingston Parish Council. He comes to all the council meetings and helps us everywhere he can. And I know a lot of councilmen actually helped write this. So this is a really positive thing for Livingston Parish. Appreciate everybody, and I'd like to make the motion that we adopt this ordinance.
Motion by Mr. Mack, second by Mr. Talbot. Any discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is passed unanimous. Item 14 is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 2307.
Which is for the creation of zoning district R-2.5, and the proposed ordinance is 2307, an ordinance to amend Chapter 117 zoning, Article 4, zoning districts by creating Division 4.1 R-2.5, residential rural single family.
Okay, before I open the public hearing, I want to give a little background on this. We had maybe got confused, and we had it went to the ordinance committee last week, but we had already advertised and we had already introduced. So ordinance committee didn't really take any action other than discussion. Is that correct, Sam? Shane?
Yeah.
But so I'm going to open the public hearing now to speak for or against this. And this is one of these ordinances we beat to death, so just try to make it brief if you can. Who wants to speak on it? Come up.
Sarah Ferris, 19241 Plantation Trace Drive. Miss Sandy, could you read the purpose section for us, please?
This will be section 117-158 purpose. The purpose of R-2.5 is to permit low-density, single-family residential development on individual lots. This district also allows for small business and some agricultural uses. All lots in the development shall have a minimum density of 2.5 per acre.
Okay, so I've got pages of things I could say about this. I came up and said them at the ordinance committee. I'll try to keep it brief. R2 says a maximum. R3 says a maximum. R2.5 says a minimum, which implies cram as many houses as you can as long as you hit a density of 2.5. So the language is wrong. Even if the language were amended to say maximum, like R2 and R3, R2 does not include business. R3 does not include business, but we're wanting to include business in R2.5. The other problem with R2.5 is that even reworded, if you reworded it to say a maximum, it's essentially R3. It's, R3 lets you have a maximum of 7 houses per acre. So you could have 6 or 5 or 4 or 3 or 2.5 with a lot width of 40 feet. So this is completely useless, completely irrelevant, and already covered in the zoning categories that we have.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? No one else? I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Talbot, you want
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out why, I mean, it's pretty simple, that R 2.5 allows for, on a 100-acre development, 250 lots, maximum. So maximum you can have. They can be as narrow as 40 foot wide. R 2.0,
Hold up, guys, hold up. Mr. Talbot's got the floor.
R 2.0 allows for, on 100 acres, 400 lots with a minimum width of 60 feet. So if you look at those two zoning areas side by side, that when you look at a 100-acre development and one's got 400 lots and one's got 250 and one of them are 60 foot wide and one of them 40 foot wide, the R 2.5 is going to have a ton of undisturbed green space that doesn't exist in R 2.0. Secondly, with narrower lots, you'll have smaller street lengthwise, which will require less impervious material that doesn't absorb water, that will exist, that R 2.0 won't have. And after you get through doing the development of both lots, of both developments, and you look at the cost, of those, you get to divide the cost of lot 2.0 by 400 lots. And on a R 2.5 development, you get to divide the cost by 250 lots. So consequently, R 2.0 is going to be substantially cheaper per lot than R 2.5. Now, I've heard impact drainage. R 2.5 will have more undisturbed green space than R 2.0 will. R 2.5 will have less impervious material, space, surface material, than R 2.0. R 2.5, the lots will cost more than the lots will cost in R 2.0. So we heard about starter homes in the past and different things along those lines. If I'm going to build a starter home, I'm going to build it in R 2.0. I'm not going to build it in R 2.5 because R 2.5's got a more expensive lot. R 2.5 is designed in such a manner that it could create, older developments for older individuals. I mean, the request by the real estate person that kind of brought this about is that she's done retirement stuff in Central. She's done some retirement stuff in other areas of the parish. There's one in Central on Old Wax Road. The houses are like 30 foot, 32 foot, different widths along there. Those things are selling upwards of $300-something thousand. It's a gated community. The parish doesn't own the roads. There's nobody, it's 55 and older, nobody's impacting the schools. On R2.5, you're looking at 250 lots. If everybody owns 2 cars, you're putting 500 cars on the street. Under R2.0 with 400 lots, everybody owns 2 cars, you're putting 800 cars on the street. So, I understand that people don't necessarily want smaller lots. Let the market dictate, because we're not, the concern about starter homes doesn't exist. And I'm not sure I understand. I'm looking at the ordinance as it's drafted right here in front of me. I don't see.
Hold up, guys, listen. No, it doesn't matter. Hold up, let him finish, okay, please?
R2.5 is to permit low-density, single-family residential development on individual lots. But under the permitted uses, it says detached single-family homes. The accessory uses are home occupations, which exists under every rural home category that we have. Vegetable and flower gardens, commercial and non-commercial. Individual boat or camper trailer storage, which exists in every other rural single-family residential, zoning area that we have. Tennis courts, swimming pools, garden homes, tool sheds. Recreational uses are identical. So there's nothing within the permitted uses in section 117-159 that differs on division 4.1, which is R.25, that exists in any other residential category that is rural single family. All of them are the same. The only thing that's different under R2.5 is the minimum lot width is now 40 feet, and the maximum the maximum density is 2.5. You can't build but 250 houses in 100 acres. R2.0 allows for 400 houses in 100 acres. So consequently, I'm not sure what the pushback is, because there's no additional impact of drainage that doesn't exist in R2.0, except you maintain more green space that's undisturbed. That's my point. So look, I just...
Wait. Let me ask you a question, because she had asked a question about it was minimum. Was that a typo, or is it supposed to be minimum? Minimum or maximum? That's a question.
It says all lots in the development shall have a minimum density. It should be a maximum density of 2.5.
So that is a typo, is what we're saying? Is that a typo?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 2.5 lots per acre. That's all you can have, is 2.5 lots an acre. That's the whole purpose of 2.5. So because here's the deal, we have got, this covers more than this. It also covers everything that was submitted prior to our new existence of, our new 125, because we had a density requirement of 2.5. So anything that came in, this accounts for that 2.5.
You want
so
to put that in motion?
I didn't realize it was this thing requires a maximum density of 2.5 lots an acre. That was the intent.
So your motion will say maximum, right?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that be amended, because the development shall have a maximum density of 2.5. Okay. That's the purpose, and a minimum lot width of 40.
Okay. Let's see if we can get a second, then we can amend it, right? Is that what you're saying?
I guess the first thing we want to do is amend it. Wait, Sandy, can we amend it now, or we got to read it and then amend it? Can we amend it now first?
We got to have a motion first.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to make a motion to amend it, to change minimum density to maximum density of 2.5 lots an acre. That was what the original design was.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Talbot and a second by Mr. King. Any discussion, y'all? No discussion? We'll call.
Gary, why can't it be 50-foot lots? Why does it have to be 40?
It can be 50-foot lots. Here's the deal. Foxglove was designed and being constructed with 47-foot lots. There are other developments that have been submitted that have 40-foot lots. Look, I'm trying to create a catch-all deal that will solve every development out there that doesn't have a zoning requirement that can fit. Look, at the same time, it maintains density. It maintains a density that is better than a lot of the developments that we currently, a lot of the other stuff that we have on the books now. It's got a better density rate than Rural 2.0 does. It's
Can you
got a-
answer your question, Mr. Ord?
Yeah, I have a problem with 40-foot lots.
Mr.
I mean,
Chair,
if somebody, look, let me tell you what, if somebody wants to amend it to 50, that's, Jeff, if
We
you want to
reopen
amend it to
public
50,
comment?
amend it to 50.
Hold up, yeah. Okay, Ms.
Can we
Sandifer, you got
reopen?
the floor.
may we reopen public comment?
No, ma'am. Okay.
See what? I'll make a motion to change the minimum lot width to 50.
You already have a motion first. You
Okay, can I amend my current, my
No,
motion?
can't amend your-
Motion and a second, so for discussion, that motion's gotta be voted on.
Okay, let's
If we
vote
make
on that
another
motion
one, we'll
first.
do another.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Sandy, can you read the motion, please? Is that what we
The
said?
motion was to
Let's read
change
the
it from
motion.
minimum to maximum.
I'm sorry, say it again.
The motion was to amend the ordinance to read maximum instead of minimum.
Okay?
And that's all this is doing.
It just makes it
That's all
R3.
this one particular one's doing.
It just makes it R3.
Huh?
it just makes
After
it-
we vote the amendment, we're gonna come back and
R3.
vote for the motion.
If it changes the
Hold
maximum.
up, guys, no discussion till I
okay.
recognize y'all.
Okay.
No discussion till I recognize you. Okay, we're voting on the amended, okay? Is that what we just got through saying? All in favor of amending the minimum to max, say aye. Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Okay, that motion is passed unanimous. Mr. Talbot,
Okay, I want to offer up another amendment to change the minimum lot width from 40 feet to 50 feet.
okay, we have a motion and amendment by Mr. Talbot and Mr. King. We will. That it? You got it? Okay, the motion has changed, so I will allow comment on the amendment, okay? Anyone wants to comment on 40-foot, 50-foot, and that's what we're gonna be discussing, Miss Abby, okay? The difference in the 10-foot.
Okay. Go from 40 to 50, all
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So whenever you amend it, doesn't it have to go back and be presented again, even if wording was changed?
For the public hearing, you mean?
Yes.
No, ma'am, we had the public hearing on this, and each amendment, I will allow someone to speak on it, on the amendment. But after the amendment, we are gonna have to vote for the whole motion, okay, as amended. We're gonna have to vote on the motion as
It
amended.
doesn't have to be presented back to the community for like,
No,
how you
ma'am.
do it, okay?
No, ma'am.
All right. As far as the lots, I'm just trying to understand what Mr. Gary was saying about the density and the lot size and everything, and the 2.5 and everything. From my understanding, I was also on the Planning Commission,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Burns, in 2012 and 2013. And I believe that it was a little bit overstepping, but after we had the flood, I was glad that it was voted in on with the Planning Commission and the, what is it? The Master Plan Committee. That's what I served on. So looking at that now and then looking at what happened during the flood, see, even though I don't live in District 5, I live in District 6. And what comes up must come down.
Yes, ma'am.
And it rolls downhill, so it rolls down on us. So you keep putting out more concrete, you
Right.
keep putting out more houses, you keep putting out more sheds, swimming pools, retention ponds.
So you're in favor of the 50-foot or the 40-foot?
I'm in favor of the 50-foot, but I'd like to see it 60-foot like it was originally voted on in 2013.
Yes, ma'am. We're gonna just
Thank
discuss
you.
the amendment right now. Thank you so much, Miss Abby. Anybody wanna talk about the 50-foot change? Come on up.
Chad DiGirolamo, 9796 Vincent Trace. Here, about 3 weeks ago, I had a 30-minute conversation with one of the councilmen here, and usually I'm all amped up because I get mad at a couple people, but we had a good talk, me and this councilman, and I respect him. And when I had this talk, the council should be representing the constituents. and most of them do. But there's a couple that have not, like, doesn't even try to. So, but I know what I'm saying is, we want the R3, we don't want the 40-foot lot. Just listen to the constituents.
We're going to have an opportunity to discuss that later. Right now, we're just talking about the amendment
Okay,
from 40
that's
to
cool.
50 foot.
No, that's good.
Okay? Any other Yes, ma'am.
What's the minimum lot length going to be?
There is no minimum
There is
lot.
none. Okay, so let's do some math. 17,424 square feet in an acre divided by a 50-foot lot width is roughly 348 feet long. Lots potentially the length of a football field. And I just want to remind you all that it has not been amended to remove business. The purpose still says it can include business, no matter what the lot width is. So when I look at R1, R1.5, those two have no minimum lot length because those are our big lot categories, right? R2 has a minimum lot length. R3 has a minimum lot length. This one does not. So once again, this could have all been worked out at the Ordinance Committee, but you weren't there. And I could have asked you those questions there, so I'll ask them tonight. So do we want lots the width of a football field? So we gotta, the business piece is still in there, we have to address that. The other piece of this is who keeps up all the green space that we say we're gonna have? Who owns that then? Who does that belong? You can't force them. So I live in a subdivision, it doesn't have an HOA. So who then is responsible for mowing the green space? Who owns the green space? Who can then rezone the green space and squeeze a few more garden homes on the leftover lots? So if y'all want to work all that out tonight, be my guest, or just don't pass it, or send it back to ordinance.
We're talking about the amendment now from 40 foot to 50 foot. The gentleman in the back raised his hand. You still want to come out? Yes.
I'm Bon Stevens, 23400 Highway 1032 in Denham Springs. I will tell you that I have several parcels of highly developable land in District 5. I actually have a question here on the basis of the new amendment. Mr. Talbot just pointed out about this development they're doing 47-foot wide lots. I thought I'd heard that mentioned in a previous meeting, and he just confirmed that. My question is, if there was no zoning category for that, how did it get through planning and zoning to begin with? Is that improperly constructed development?
It's my understanding it was approved before. Is that right, Mr. Talbot? It was approved before planning and zoning. Yes.
Okay, but how? There's no zoning category for it.
Well, there was nothing to stop it. It wasn't in place. Nothing.
There was no zoning, there was no zoning map in place.
Then my final comment is here, even at 50-foot lots, I took a ride through New Orleans this week, and most of those nice shotgun houses are 50-foot lots. And I just posed a question to the council people and everybody that's watching this. Is that really the image of Livingston Parish you want, the shotgun houses in old New Orleans? No. Thank you.
Mr. Holden.
Wade Holden, 9160 Harris Road, Denham Springs. If you got a 100-acre lot and you've got wetlands, and let's say 40 acres of that 100-acre lot is all wetlands, you cannot cut wetlands, you cannot remove any of the vegetation, nobody's going to be keeping it up. But that is a sneaky way of taking a 100-acre tract, getting by the wetlands, just building on the front part of it. If your back's in the wetlands, you can't build on it regardless. It's just the realtors have the property or what have you, no way to build on it. That can cram it all into the very front of the subdivision or what have you. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, council. Any discussions from the council? Okay, we're going to be voting on the amendment only. Okay, you understand that? Amendment only. And this is to change it from 40 foot to 50 foot. Is that right, clerk? Okay.
We changed the maximum where
We are an amendment.
That's correct.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. So now this ordinance is going to read maximum, and it's going to read 50-foot for, okay. So, Mr. Talbot, do you now want to make a motion for this, to move this forward?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Talbot, we have a second by Mr. King.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Can I make a comment, Randy, about
Sure.
businesses? So if where it says this district allows for small businesses and some agricultural uses, and if you go to accessory uses, it talks about home occupation. I mean, what we're not trying to do is tell you you cannot run a small business out of your house. I mean, that's what a home occupation is, that's why you see the small business situation. It's not in just rural 2.5. It's in most of the rural zoning that we have, is that it allows you to run home occupation and small businesses and some agricultural uses. So this is nothing special. This is just a copy and paste of other zoning, changing density and lot size.
Okay, we got you. Ms. Sandy, you had something?
Just wanted to make sure everybody knew that they were going to be adopting the ordinance as amended.
And next one, as amended. Go ahead, Shane.
I just wanted to say the ordinance committee's been discussing the classifications, R1, R1.5, R2. And for those classifications, we're removing business from being able to be developed. If, it's got to come before the council for a vote, of course, but the plan is to remove businesses from being allowed in those classifications. Now, I want to say also that we do agree that you should be able to have a small business, a home-based business within those classifications, and we are working on a definition to define what a home-based business is, and that specific ordinance is up for discussion at the next ordinance committee council. We're trying to finalize that and get that input. I just wanted to say that before we voted.
Thank you, Mr. Shane.
Shane, with respect to this, I mean, if it's approved and we remove businesses from all of them with the redefinition, I mean, this would fall into that same category. I mean, I don't,
It's a valid point,
this shouldn't be impacted on
It's a
how we
valid
vote on
point.
this particular ordinance.
Yeah, it's a valid point. That part shouldn't cause interference. Okay. Anybody else? Call for a vote, and we're going to do it by individuals.
Mr. Delat,
No.
Mr. Ard,
Yes.
Mr. Mack,
No.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Talbert,
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer,
No.
Mr. McMorris.
No.
4, it doesn't pass.
What is it? I'm sorry. What's,
It's tied, so it doesn't pass.
it doesn't pass.
Wait,
How's it tied?
can't be
7.
tied, ain't but 7 of us here.
4-3.
It's 4-3.
That's what 4-3.
It got beat.
Failed.
4-3, no. Yeah.
Failed. Yeah.
Failed. The motion has failed on the 4-3. Aye. Which one's the next one? What's the next one?
Get 15. Surplus property. Can you see it?
15 now.
Okay, 15, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 23-08. Ms. Sandy?
This is a declaration of surplus property, 16 lots located in Pine Bluff Acres South subdivision. It was from the parish president's office, and the proposed ordinance is 23-08. It's an ordinance to declare certain immovable property, 16 lots in Pine Bluff Acres South subdivision property as surplus property, and to authorize the private sale, public auction, and/or disposal of said property described herein.
Okay, 15 now, the public hearing is open. Anyone wants to comment on this? Anyone from the public? No comment from the public. The public hearing is closed. Anyone wants to make a motion or discussion from the council?
I got some discussion.
Go
I
ahead.
just have a question. We use Civic Source to get rid of all of our adjudicated and properties that we pick up. I thought I heard somebody say something about that it couldn't go to Civic Source. Is there a
There was
particular
a lot
reason?
of title issues. Mr. Chris worked with Susan Abels on this extensively, and this was the way to be able to sell the property as surplus.
Okay, what's the wishes of the council on item 15?
I'd like to make, I'll second it if Scooter wants to make it.
Hey, that's,
Okay.
I'll
We got a
second.
mo-
need to get rid of it, yeah.
We got a motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Mack. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried unanimous. Item 16, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 23-09. Ms. Sandy.
This is to acquire movable property for the parish of Livingston pursuant to the Hazard Mitigation Program, project number FEMA-427-DR-LA-0124. The property in question is located at 15987 Cypress Point Lane, French Settlement, Louisiana 70733. Ordinance to acquire movable property for the parish of Livingston pursuant to the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, project number FEMA-4277-DR-LA-0124, Livingston Parish.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone from the public wish to comment? Public hearing is closed. What's the wishes of the council?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. McMorris, second by Mr. Ord. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is passed unanimous. Item 17, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 23-10. Ms. Sandy.
Acquire movable property for the parish of Livingston pursuant to the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, project number FEMA 4277-DR-LA-0131 in Livingston Parish, located at 11395 Sandra Drive, Walker, Louisiana 70785. This is proposed ordinance 23-10. It's an ordinance to acquire movable property for the parish of Livingston pursuant to the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, project number FEMA 4277-DR-0131, Livingston Parish.
Okay, the public hearing is now open. Anyone wish to comment from the public? Public hearing is closed. Wishes of the council. We have a motion made by...
I'll second, or I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Mack, second by Mr. Ord. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried unanimous. Number 18, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 2311. Ms. Sandy.
This is quitclaim servitude revocation for Basics Paintball located on Ruby Moore Road, Denham Springs, Louisiana, 70706 in Council District 2. This will come from the Livingston Parish Plan and Zoning Department as a recommendation. This is proposed ordinance 23-11, map showing revocation of a 50 feet all-purpose servitude located on tract LM281, located at the end of Ruby Moore Road, Denham Springs, Louisiana, located in section 45, Township 5, South Range 3 East, Greensburg Land District, Livingston Parish, Louisiana, for Basics Paintball LLC, being more particularly described herein.
Yes, sir.
Sandy, are all the letters in? I'll make a
Thing was done.
Hey, did we do the public hearing first? We have already? No, we hadn't done it. Okay, public hearing. Anyone wish to comment? No. It's comment. We have a motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. McMorris. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is passed unanimous. Number 19, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 2312. Ms. Sandy.
This is amending Chapter 125, Section 125-138B, Requirements and Procedures for Recreational Vehicles, RV. This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 125 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish Subdivision Regulations, Article 12, Variances, Section 125-138, Requirements and Procedures for Recreational Vehicles, RV, as follows.
Okay, anyone wish to comment from the public? Public hearing closed. Wishes of the council.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Talbot. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is passed unanimous. Number 20, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 2313. Ms. Sandy.
This is an ordinance supporting the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution and declaring Livingston Parish as a Second Amendment sanctuary parish. And this proposed ordinance 23-13. It's an ordinance to amend Article 1 in general of Chapter 2, Administration of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish by adding Section 2-27, Second Amendment Sanctuary, to declare and express the Livingston Parish Council's support of the Second Amendment and to declare the parish of Livingston as a Second Amendment sanctuary parish and to further provide with respect thereto.
Public hearing. Anyone wish to comment? No comment? Mr. Ord made a motion. Anyone wants to second? Mr. McMorris is second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is passed unanimous. 21?
Yes, sir.
21 is an introduction of ordinance to amend Chapter 127 multifamily development. Is that, who's introducing that?
I didn't introduce it, but we did talk about it in the ordinance committee meeting. We're just clarifying some things here. The ordinance used to say you could have a buffer zone of 25 foot and 50 foot for a multi-story, multifamily development. We needed to correct that so it wasn't confusing. You're going to have a 50-foot buffer if you have a multi-story, multifamily development. If this ordinance passes. In addition to that, there's a requirement for an 8-foot fence. If this ordinance passes, you're going to be able to waive, the council will be able to waive that 8-foot fence if you can receive letter of no objection from the adjacent property owners. So,
You would like to introduce
yeah, I'd like to introduce this ordinance.
Okay,
It's a good
anyone
change.
wants to second the introduction?
I'll second it.
Okay, got a second by Mr. Talbot. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
So we vote, are we voting on the introduction?
Yeah, that was introduction.
Okay. You need to read it, Ms. Sandy?
Yeah, this will be an ordinance to amend Chapter 127 multifamily development, Section 127-4E. All multifamily units shall adhere to the required buffer zone of an 8. Am I reading it wrong?
Oh, no, go ahead, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
An 8-foot fence requirements, and the public hearing will be at 6 PM on May 11th.
Okay. So that was 21.
Yeah.
Okay, 22, introduction of ordinance, amending Chapter 126, that's from the planning department. Who's handling the planning department, y'all? Is that you, Shane?
I can do that too. We talked about this in the ordinance committee. Basically, there's a requirement after you start the development process, okay? Clearing and removal of, trees and shrubs. There's some requirements here. You're not allowed to cut a tree over 8 inches and affect drainage and things like that. So I want to make a statement here. If this ordinance passes, this does not affect clearing your property unless you've already started the development process. You can't go back and be penalized for just clearing property, that you plan to sell or build a house on or things of that nature. That's not what the intent of this ordinance is. It's basically after you've started the development process, there's some requirements on what you're able to do before you receive approval for construction, and that's basically what this is. And it involves erosion control measures. It involves, the requirements of a drainage impact study needs to be approved before you can basically remove brushes, shrubs, and small trees over 8 inches. So this is after you start the development process. And so just want to say that. I can say also the ordinance committee recommended favorable recommendation to introduce this ordinance.
And you're making that motion?
Yeah, I'm making a motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Talbot. Any discussion?
Yeah. Yeah, that was 8 inches in diameter. I wanted to clarify that, sorry.
Can I
You
read
ready?
it?
Yes.
This will be proposed ordinance 23-15. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 126 commercial development by the creation of Section 126-12, clearing and grubbing in the Code of Ordinances for Livingston Parish. And the public hearing will be at 6 PM on May 11th.
I'm assuming we're going to vote unanimous. We didn't vote for this one, y'all. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed unanimous.
23 now.
Okay. Introduction of ordinance, amending Chapter 127. Okay, that's you too?
I could do that too. This is pretty much a duplication of the previous ordinance. The previous ordinance was for commercial development. This one here is for multifamily development. I think it's already a requirement for the subdivision ordinance, so we're just kind of clearing up some stuff.
Motion
But
by Mr.
basically, once again, this is after they've started the development process. These rules go into effect. It's not, if you want to clear your property, you're welcome to go do so, no penalty there.
Motion by Mr. Mack, second by Mr. King. All in favor to introduce so she can, Aye. Okay, you can read it.
This is proposed ordinance 23-16. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 127, multifamily development by the creation of Section 127-9, clearing and grubbing in the Code of Ordinances for Livingston Parish. The public hearing will be on May 11th at 6 p.m.
Number 24 is another introduction of an ordinance amending Section 100-5. Steve Kissler, Mark Howell. Anyone here? Someone wants to introduce it?
I can cover this too. We talked about this in the ordinance committee. Okay, basically, currently, I guess you could say the enforcement authority is the planning director and the inspectors. This basically is just going to give the director, the parish director of Homeland Security, and the his assistants to be able to enforce penalties, write citations for violations of the development ordinances. So, I mean, I'm in favor of it. It's just basically the Homeland Security Director will also have the ability to write a citation or call for a cease and desist order, things of that nature. So, I mean,
Who wants to make that motion?
I'll make it. Yeah.
Motion by Mr. Mack. Who wants to second? Mr. Ard has seconded the motion. All in favor? Aye. We're going to have Ms. Sandy read it.
This will be proposed ordinance 23-17. It's an ordinance to amend Part 3, Land Development Code, Chapter 100, General and Administrative Provisions, Section 100-5, Penalty for violations of this chapter, by adding an amendment for the allowance of enforcement officers to write citations and summons for court appearances, and the public hearing will be at 6 p.m. on May 11th.
Okay, we at 26 or 5? 25. 25 is introduction of ordinance amending Chapter 125. That's you again, Shane?
Yeah, I can do that too.
Planning
We covered this in the ordinance committee. Basically, it's to my understanding, guys, that the old ordinance, development ordinance, had a expiration in there on the preliminary site plans of 24 months. Somehow or another, when we were implementing the new development ordinances, that expiration got removed. We're simply trying to add it back in. The preliminary site plans that are approved are good for 24 months. This is, like we said, an introduction, but if it passes next council meeting, this will be back into the development ordinance.
Scooter's made that motion. Who seconded it? Ms. Sanford has. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Sandy?
Okay, this will be proposed ordinance 23-18. This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 125 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish, Subdivision Regulations, Section 125-10, Clearing and Grubbing, Section 125-52, Procedures for Subdivisions Without Improvements, Section 125-68, Procedures for Subdivision with Improvements, and Section 125-117, Construction Plans as follows. The public hearing will be at 6 p.m. on May 11th.
Thank you. Item 26 is an introduction of an ordinance by Mr. Scooter King. I want to say a few things before we get to this part. It's been the parish president and all nine council members have talked about this, and we know we got some issues with 26. And we're going to try to fix it, guys. And I'm going to exercise my chairman's privilege and say, in accordance with the custom and practice of this council, the chair rules that this item will be referred to the ordinance committee for review and consideration. So we're taking this one. It's going to be in the ordinance committee, and I'm going to ask Mr. Mack to tell us when that next meeting is going to be.
Hey, thanks, Randy. That meeting's this coming Tuesday. I could look at the date real quick unless somebody else can get to it faster. It's this coming Tuesday at 5:30. May 2nd. May 2nd.
Thank you. Anyone disagree with the ruling of the chair?
No, sir.
Item 27 has been taken off. Item 28, introduction of an ordinance to amend LP 2265. Ms. Erin Sandifer, that has been pulled and taken off also. Number 29, adopt a resolution of support for proposed House, what is that? I can't, HLS?
It's actually House Bill 628.
Okay.
But Aaron, it's on the agenda as a draft resolution. It's not on the agenda as House bill.
Okay, well, you can read it as a draft resolution.
Okay, wait, I'm getting, what are we talking about?
The HLS 2023 RS 1274 is a draft resolution.
Okay.
Not a House bill.
Okay.
And Ms. Sanford's asking us to support a House resolution, which is not the final copy of the deal. And instead of waiting for the House bill to come out,
Okay.
she put a resolution on us she put the draft copy.
Okay.
And it's out of order for us to support a draft copy because we don't know if this is the final. So I would recommend that we defer this.
Okay, just hold up, guys. What I'm gonna do, if I get a second, we're gonna have a discussion on the issue both ways, okay? Do I have a second to Ms. Sandifer's motion?
Can you repeat her motion?
Her motion is to adopt what Mr. Talbot says is a draft resolution to support.
It's to adopt a resolution to support the proposed draft resolution, which just supports her in the state legislature and says we're behind it.
Okay, I second it.
Okay, let's have a discussion, Mr. Talbot. Go ahead, Mr. McMorris.
And that's Ms. Valerie?
Yes, Representative Valerie Hodges.
Okay, thanks.
So,
Mr. Talbot.
So there was an item that this council passed a while back to members to the library board. Motion was made by myself, second by Ms. Keene. It was unanimous to add 2 members. And in the drafting of the resolution, in the drafting of the House bill, there was a restructuring of the library board. So there, if y'all remember correctly, there was an item on the agenda last meeting to clarify what we wanted done. In the meantime, before the item came up, I got to talk to Ms. Hodges, Ms. Email, which is her legislative assistant. They redrafted the bill, advertised it under the old HLS, which the original House Bill 360 was done. Then for some, I don't know exactly how, it is now has a new number and a new deal, but it's basically because it was a pre-filed bill. So when it was presented again, it was presented under the old ad, but it now has a new legislative number and it now has a new House bill. However, when Ms. Sanford put the item on the agenda, the House bill had not been finalized. And so I'm just saying that we kind of jumped the gun and we don't have a final House bill that we're supporting. We're supporting a resolution. We don't know what the outcome is going to be, which it could ultimately restructure it like it was before. All we want to do is add 2 members. We don't want to have to make anybody resign. We don't have to want to reappoint anybody to the library board. We want to add 2 members. That's all we want to do.
Mr. Talbot, do you feel like it's a conflict with the other resolutions, what you're trying to say?
I think that until we know what the final resolution, what we know what the final House bill looks like, we don't need to ask support a draft resolution.
Okay.
In 2 weeks, when the item's on the agenda correctly and we have the correct House bill as it is filed at the legislature, then we can vote on the House bill.
Okay.
But this is not the final House bill because it doesn't say it's the final House bill.
Okay, any other discussion?
I have something to say. All we're doing, Mr. Talbot, is adopting a resolution to support it, to say to the state that we support this and we're asking for it. The previous one that was filed caused too much controversy because the state, when she was filing the bill, the state said that the whole board had to be reset, and that's the only way they could make it work. Well, she didn't want to reset the whole board, and I don't think we wanted her to reset the whole board, so she had to go back and rework it, and all this one is adding 2 members to the 7-member board that we currently have. All we're doing is supporting her draft resolution to say to the state of Louisiana, yes, Livingston Parish Council would like this.
Okay,
to add 2
wait,
people.
Mr. Talbot, hold up.
I just want to say that I feel Aaron is 100% correct on this. Ms. Valerie is trying to help us accomplish a goal of ours. I think we do need 9 board members on that library board. It's just a resolution in support. I second her motion. We adopt the resolution.
Mr. Talbot.
We've already done the local ask already. This council's already asked to add 2 members. We've already asked for that.
This is an updated, more recent.
We asked to add 2 members. That's all we asked for.
Okay,
this bill was corrected because they did more than what was originally asked. All I'm telling you is that until you know what the final result is, how can you say you support whatever the House bill number is going to be? Because what if they change it again and they restructure the board? I'm just telling you, until you see the final bill, how can you ask that say you're in support of it?
Mr. King.
So, Ms. Aaron, so this is just a resolution supporting her trying to get us just 2 members?
Yes.
That's all it is. We're
all
not
it is.
supporting the resolution itself. Just a resolution supporting her to add the 2 members.
Any other discussion, guys? Call for a vote. I'm sorry, wait a minute. There is discussion. I forgot to ask about the public input. I'm so sorry. Any public input? Come up. Come up front. Come up front.
Well, I know what the bill number is, but it's not on the agenda.
So the public input, she offered the bill number. So in your motion, if you want to add the bill number, you can do that.
House Bill 628.
Okay.
I said that at the beginning.
House Bill 628.
House Bill 6, got anything else, Gary? Okay, all in favor of Ms. Aaron Sandifer's motion? Want to do an individual?
No,
Okay. Motion is passed unanimous. Yeah, number's passed. Motion is passed.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Yeah, we're at 30.
We're on 30 now.
Okay.
That's a shame, man.
Okay, we got to adopt a resolution to request the parish engineer to do a drainage impact study on Acadian Trace subdivision located on James Chapel Road in Council District 9, Shane Mack.
I appreciate that, Randy. So this subdivision has very, very, very poor drainage, was poorly developed, and I'd like to ask support to adopt a resolution that the parish engineer do a gravity drainage study so that we can identify a solution to the drainage problem we have there in the subdivisions. In the heavy rain, water actually runs into some of these houses. It's incredible. So we need some help here, and we need to try to get an engineer to tell us what the real solution is. So I'd like to make this motion that we adopt this resolution.
A motion by Mr. Mack and a second by Ms. Sandifer. Any comment from the audience? Any comment from? Go ahead.
Shane, do you know what the cost associated with this drainage impact study is going to be?
No, I have no idea. That would be something that the engineering firm that once, they requested it, they would have to put that together. I have no idea what the cost is, but what I can tell you is that there's multiple parcels of property in this subdivision. They're tiny lots, and the drainage is very, very poor. It was designed a long time ago. It was a poor drainage design, and I need some help trying to figure out, what the real problem is and develop some real solutions, and then we can talk about, in some fashion, fixing the problem, maybe through a grant or maybe through parish funds. We'll have to wait and see.
That's on the north side of the interstate?
It's, yes, sir. It's that first little subdivision as you turn on James Chapel, get off the Albany exit.
Store?
It is, right past that store. Yeah.
You're right.
It's bad.
Did you get a second?
Yes.
I don't know yet.
Ms. Sandifer did.
Okay.
Ms. Sandifer. Any further discussion, council? All in favor? Motion is passed unanimous. Next one's item 31. Adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver of section 125-176 definitions. Ms. Sandy, you want to tell us?
This is allowing a second address to a non-linear relative who's a niece located on Stacy Lane in Walker, Louisiana, in Council District 7 for Councilman Tracy Girlinghouse, and it was deferred from the April 13th regular meeting of the council.
We have a motion by Mr. Jeff Ard.
I talked to Tracy, he's good with it.
He got
Yeah, he's
information?
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second by Mr. Talbot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any discussion? Anyone in the audience need to make a comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed unanimous. 32, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver locating Council District 6 of Mr. Mac Morris.
All right, so if you look on your map here, so we're going to be dividing this, if it passes tonight, by 110 by 150. So there's there's 2 lots. See the 2 lots here? It'll be
These
this lot,
along here,
yeah, these
okay,
two lots
okay.
here, that's the one they're gonna be separating in half. It's for 2 family members. They're gonna be putting 2 trailers there, and it's all trailers inside the subdivision
How
already.
big are they?
150, they're gonna be, it's 220 feet right now, so they're gonna divide it between 110 foot. So I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Mr. McMorris and a second by Mr. King. Anyone from the audience want to make a comment? Any councilman have anything they want to say? All in favor? Aye. Motion is passed unanimous. Item 33, adoption of a resolution to authorize a waiver of section 125-25, drainage impact study for Smoking Tails Crawfish, Mr. Shane Mack. Boy, you
Appreciate
popular
that.
today.
How you like that name of that business? Okay, so out on Old Baton Rouge Highway, right off the Albany exit there was an old business there. They sold pizza. They had a gravel parking lot. It's an elevated building. They at one time had bakery sales there. They baked things and sold that. It's an existing business, had been there for a long, long time, all right? But then it shut down due to possibly the flood. I can't remember exactly what it shut down. It's been shut down for several years. And a gentleman from Livingston Parish is trying to open it back up, and what he wants to do is sell boiled seafood, specifically, I think, crawfish. And I appreciate. I'd like to make the motion, but just letting you know that they're not coming in there and adding any extra dirt or anything like that. They put some rocks down. They've got some buildings there that are up off the ground, you know, and they're not doing any dirt work in any way, shape, or form. And I feel like that we should grant this waiver. So I'd like to make that motion.
Shane, can I ask a question?
You absolutely can.
So if it's already everything's existing, Morgan, can you tell us why it needs a drainage impact study?
Good here. Good here.
So when they sent it to me, our Google Earth images don't show gravel. It might have had pea gravel at one time, but we don't count pea gravel as any like concrete, only limestone. And then they were adding a building onto the side. So when I asked them to show me that they meet one of the waivers in our ordinances, they couldn't do it with what they had. So
they are adding a building?
Yes, they're putting buildings
So
on the
it's
side.
what I consider a portable building, but it's elevated on blocks, Gary. There's no dirt work or any way, shape, or form. We're not waiving everything. All we're doing is waiving the gravity drainage study because they're not doing anything physically, constructionally to change, to alter the current drainage, or they're not elevating property that throws water onto others. And I'm going to say something else, Gary. This property has been owned by the Green family for many, many years, and the adjacent property owners have, they're all family across there, and so the whole entire family is in favor of this, and I just don't see the need for them to do a gravity drainage study. That's just my opinion.
Okay, Gary, Ms. Talbot.
So Morgan, so they've added a building which would require a drainage impact study, and they've changed the pervious surface of the ground, which would require a drainage impact study?
That's what we've been told, and I say that because we haven't actually gotten the plan. I told them the only way we could say no to a drainage impact study is if they showed me their pre and post and did the 10%. You can do it at 10% increase.
So we're waiving the drainage impact study when you don't even have a final site plan of what's going to go on here?
This wasn't me. I didn't. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't know this was on the agenda.
I mean, I understand. I'm just saying that you don't even have you don't even know what's approved. You don't even know what's being submitted for approval because you don't have a site plan.
I don't think they've submitted yet. No.
I can speak to that.
Wait a minute, guys. Let me say something. What about the ordinance we just adopted that grandfather those in? We just call it the grandfather ordinance, and instead of it was a commercial building, a commercial establishment, it could continue to be a commercial establishment.
That's a good point, but that's with zoning. If you were zoned a certain way.
It is a zoning issue, guys, but if you're not changing the use of the land, why does it have to have a drainage impact study? If you're not changing the use
I
of the
agree,
land.
and I want to say something real quick, Gary. I don't want to confuse anybody here. These people are ready to turn the electricity on and start selling crawfish tomorrow. As soon as we give them their ability to do so, all the development is already there. You can go look at it yourself tomorrow morning. They have a couple of buildings, they're elevated, I call them portable buildings, that they're going to use for like handicap services. You know, they got some bathrooms. They're meeting all their requirements. You know, they haven't changed the elevation. You know, the place was shut down for a little while, and the grass grew through the rocks. And that's why on Google Earth you really can't see where the gravel parking lot used to be. But all they really did was I guess you could say refurbish it and turn it back into what it currently exists today. I see no need for a gravity drainage
Your point's
study.
made. Gary, you got anything? Anybody else?
Just call for a vote.
No, we don't. We've got a second?
Hope so.
Right here. Oh, Mac Morris. Okay, all in favor?
No, you poll us.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Talbot?
No.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Motion is passed. Next one is what? 34, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver of section 12576 mobile home parks. That's, who's this?
Jeff Ard?
Jeff Ord.
That's for me. I mean, this is, they got 11 acres and they're trying to cut an acre off to put a trailer on it, so I'm good with it. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMorris. Any discussion? Anybody from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. 37, zoning reclassification request. Request to rezone parcel number 0232975B from AG to R1 from Seth Mosby. Jeff Ord.
Same thing. I mean, I'm good at it. It's just what you said. We're just changing it from agricultural to R1.
Anybody second by
10 acres,
Mr.
so I
King. All in,
I got a question. Brad, if you look at the home rule charter, it talks about zoning, said zoning changes cannot be made by resolution. And we have, since we started this, been doing them by resolution. It has now been brought to our attention that we are not doing correctly. Do we need to continue moving forward, doing these zoning changes by resolution, knowing that they're against what the home rule charter says?
No, I think we need to follow the rules that we know are in place.
I'd like to say something. Go ahead, Jeff.
wait a minute, Gary, are you through with your time?
Yeah, I just had a question for the attorney, that's all.
37A.
Yeah.
So my understanding is we actually made an ordinance that said we could change zoning by resolution until the end of this year.
And we were advised that was the correct way to do it.
If that ordinance is in place, then okay.
Yeah, there's an ordinance that says we
Gary,
can
make
change
that
it by
ordinance?
resolution till the end of the year.
So we can make an ordinance that overrides the home rule charter, Brad?
Maybe all moot point at some point in the
It
future.
will be in a couple weeks, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Anything else?
so Brad, you advised us in the meeting on, that was, get my glasses, on 1/12/23, you advised us that we could do this within 1 year period. If I came to you within that 1 year period, you might have zoned mine this way, but within that 1 year, we could come back and change it
Based on the ordinance that you've.
based on the ordinance.
That's the correct answer. It may not be in the future, but based on the
So if we
ordinance, that's
find
correct.
out in a few weeks that we shouldn't be doing it like that, we'll just figure out how to make all the ones we've done
Change them
be
all.
done by ordinance.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Change them all.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else, any discussion on this? You want to call for a vote individual, Gary?
I'm good.
All in favor? Aye. Motion is passed. I skipped,
You skipped a whole bunch of them.
35, 36.
yeah, I skipped 35, and I was going to start from there, okay? Adopt a resolution requesting approval of a waiver of a maximum number of lots. And that's going to be you, Gary, right?
Oh.
Yeah, this is, they're trying to do this to put some, I think they've added 2 lots that are in the one, they're both like 1.285 acres
Yeah.
for family members, so I don't have an issue if nobody else has.
Motion by
an issue.
Mr. Talbot. Mr. Sandifer, you second that?
Sure.
Second by Ms. Sandifer. Any discussion? Anything from the audience? Anybody? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
36. Adopt a resolution authorize a waiver of section 125-37, requirements for minor subdivisions. And that's Mr. Ord again?
Which one are we on?
36.
36? Oh, yes, I'm good with this one. I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Second
it.
by Mr. King. Any discussion? Anybody from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. Which one we on now?
Randy, before we move on off of that, here in the last probably last 4 or 5 meetings, we've had, I know at least 3 of us that's asked for this same waiver from 60 foot to 40 foot.
That's with me.
Yeah.
I would like to ask the ordinance committee to go back and review that and see if we need to change that back to 40
A
foot.
few things we need to review.
We've been given a lot of
Great.
waivers.
Yeah. we need to give
I agree with you, Mr. Ord. Great point. Anybody else want to discuss while it's there?
Sir.
Okay, 37.
Randy, can I ask a question? Look, I don't really have my agenda in front of me because I messed my screen up a while ago, and I ain't smart enough to get it back straight. So, aren't we getting ready to do a whole list of zoning stuff in just a...
37, the one here.
Is that the only one we have, or do we have more behind it? It seems like we had a bunch,
I think that's going to be at A and B, Gary, on
C.
37.
Is 37A and B the only 2 zoning changes we have? The rest of the...
See?
Well, we did 37A already. We had 37B
B and
left.
C then.
I just was
we do them just all
going
together?
to see if we could group all these zoning changes together if we...
I have a zoning change on the next item.
Yeah. Do what?
I have a zoning change on the next item. Are you talking about?
Together, is that fine?
As long as it's not an ordinance, as long as it's just about everybody's trying to get zoning changed, since it's...
Brad, you okay with that?
If they're all being changed the same,
Yeah.
if they're, I would think it'd have to be we doing the
you wanna
same
read it?
change.
Consent agenda, if nobody.
Consent agenda? Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have to read it for us, Miss Sandy?
good, because there's
Okay.
a lot of letters and numbers in there
Any questions?
from the audience.
Any question from the audience?
Is it legal today or tomorrow? Is it legal today or tomorrow?
I'm not
Resolution,
understanding
would
the
it have to be
question.
when he signs? He don't sign that resolution.
No, you don't
I don't
sign a
think it's signed.
resolution.
I think
You
it's
don't sign a resolution.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's done.
It's immediately. Be
it's
done
immediately.
immediately. Okay, so all in favor?
Wait, of B and C?
You B and C.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed? Motion is passed unanimous. 38 requests authorization of waivers of zoning requirements. And that is Tracy. Y'all know what he wants to
Yep,
do?
he told me he was good with it.
A and B?
I'll make
the
that motion.
Or-
Motion for
second.
A and B for Mr. Ord and second
And
by
Tracy,
Mr.
yep.
Talbot. All in favor?
Aye.
Which one's next, Scott? 39. Board appointments, resignations, Mr. Talbot, Recreation District 2.
Well, I'm gonna have to admit, I didn't put the item on the thing, so I'm gonna have to look and see what I got in front of me.
Got, help him out.
I don't think,
You want
I
my,
don't see,
Gary, you want my,
you
my,
got the
my paper copy?
I'm finding it right now, I think. I got it. I wanna reappoint Ms. Vicki Brown,
How many you got?
and
Gary?
I'm gonna wanna reappoint Mr. Chris Prescott. I wanna reappoint Mr. Hood, and me and Coach Beard need to have a discussion, so,
So those three, we're gonna make a motion.
yes.
Second by Mr. King. Any discussion from the audience? Any discussion from the council? All in favor? Aye. Motion's passed unanimous. Mr. Gerald McMorris, B, 39, Fire Protection District 7.
Just don't touch the top, I done figured.
All right, so we got Mr. Donald Sibley. He had passed away. First thing I want to do is thank Mr. Donald. He's actually the one that started the Koyal Fire Department down home at District 7. He passed away here about 2 months ago. So we're going to replace him with his wife. She's very involved with the fire department. So I'll make a motion to accept Joanne Sibley.
Motion made by Mr. McMorris, second by Mr. King. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed unanimous. Finance, no committee reports. Finance Committee, I was asked to find out when they was going to get paid, the constables and JPs, on a resolution we passed. I don't have that information, so I'll try to get it the next meeting. So that's all I have for finance. Anybody for Ordinance Committee? Shane?
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. So, in the Ordinance Committee, we talked about the introduction of ordinance banning TikTok on all parish government computers and cell phones, including all subdivisions of parish governments, including, not limited to, the Livingston Parish Library. Okay, so in that meeting, we discussed the ordinance. There was a lot of discussion. There was a favorable recommendation, to the best of my knowledge, to, no, hold on, let me find it. It was a favorable recommendation to, I guess you could say, not introduce this ordinance until the Ordinance Committee agreed that we should introduce the ordinance. Can you remember? That's kind of how that motion went. I mean, the reason for that is just basically, there's some questions out there.
What I need from you is unfavorable or favorable. That's what I need.
It was basically a motion made, and it was a favorable recommendation to not introduce this ordinance. But now I will say this: if you look at the Home Rule Charter, to the best of my knowledge, a councilman can introduce an ordinance, and he has the right to introduce an ordinance. If he so chooses, he can make the motion to introduce the ordinance, and if he gets a second, well, then we're going to need to move forward. So that's why it's on the agenda.
Okay, and it needs to be on the agenda. I need you to tell me favorable or unfavorable.
Unfavorable from the Ordinance Committee.
Anybody
to
wants to
introduce it.
introduce this ordinance has got the right to do it.
I want to make a motion to introduce ordinance.
We have a motion by Mr. Talbot. I need a second. We got a second.
Who was the second?
So,
Hold up, guys. I got
so
a question.
this is going to be an introduction on it, but when we discuss this,
We can
we're
change it.
definitely going to make some changes.
Right.
At least for me to
I
vote
agree.
for it, I'm going to
I
have
agree
to have
with you,
some
Mr.
changes.
Alderman. You on the same page. So, yeah, let's introduce it. Anybody got any more discussion?
Well, I mean, I definitely do, before we start voting to introduce it or not, right? I mean, what, are we going to discuss this?
Well, then.
There's a motion to introduce it,
We
a
are going to
second?
have a vote. Whether it's going to be introduced or not, it's going to depend on the vote, okay? But when
Okay.
it gets introduced, then it's 2 weeks before you have the public hearing, and if you want to make changes, me and Mr. Orr's got some problems with some of it.
Do you agree that it would be easier to make the changes tonight, instead of amending at the public hearing?
No.
I think we need to do it then.
Okay, any other discussion? A call for individual vote?
Read it first?
Yes.
Okay. This will be proposed ordinance 23-19. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 50 offenses miscellaneous by creating Section 50-17, government device access of the Code of Ordinances in and for the parish of Livingston, as set out more specifically herein. The public hearing will be at 6 p.m. on May 11th.
Call for the vote individually in this.
Mr. Delat,
Yes.
Mr. Ard,
Yes.
Mr. Mack,
This is to introduce?
Introduce.
Yeah.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Talbert,
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer,
Yes.
Mr. McMorris.
Yes.
All right, Shane, next.
Motion is passed unanimous to be introduced. Okay, Mr. Shane.
All right, appreciate everybody. So we discussed this in the Ordinance Committee. This is an introduction to an ordinance amending Section 100-5, penalty of violations of this chapter by adding the allowance of enforcement officers to write citations and summons for court appearances.
already did this
Okay, so this is a duplication. We've already voted to adopt it?
Yep.
Yeah, this is a duplication, so we can just skip that.
Okay. All right, District Attorney's report.
Councilman's comments, sir? There's nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Council comments, we'll start with you, Mr. Shane.
Hey, thanks, man. I just want to say that next week's going to be a busy week. Tuesday, we're going to have an Ordinance Committee meeting at 5:30 p.m. And then Thursday, we are going to have a Council District 9 zoning map meeting. It's a town hall meeting here at the council chambers to discuss zoning Council District 9. That's going to be at 6 p.m. on May 4th.
Last meeting, I made an announcement about the chipping in for St. Jude. Help me with the figure, it was 350,000, 356,000 was raised, was donated in that one-day event, and that puts this group at over $1 million they have raised for St. Jude. And also, since John's not here, Spring Fest is Saturday in Dillon Springs.
Good job.
Thanks.
Miss Sanford.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Talbot, you want to come back this way? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out the current score of the Live Oak baseball game. They're in the first round of the playoffs tonight.
Sam just told me 3-2, Live Oak ahead.
Huh?
Live Oak ahead.
Live Oak
3-2.
ahead. And tomorrow, my wife and I are traveling to Sulphur to watch the Live Oak girls take on Sam Houston in the semifinals of the state playoffs. So the Eagles are primed for a possible, double up. The boys are ranked 5th in the state. The girls were ranked 2nd in the state going into the tournament. So they're in pretty good shape.
Very nice.
Tell us about Front Selma.
Congratulations to them. So we headed to Sulphur also. So we also, Prince Solomon High School is going to be playing for the softball semifinals tomorrow afternoon at 5:30. So turn on your TVs and support our team. All right. All right. You Facebook junkies out here in America, right? I wanna tell you, be watching this week. We have a bunch of House bills that's going to be going through the representatives to cover the carbon capture in Lake Maurepas. If you can come, please come and show your support. We were supposed to have it this past Wednesday. They canceled on us right at the last minute. So it's going to be a spur of the moment thing. Hey, be watching, Bart. We need everybody who can come to support these bills. All right? We don't know what day yet.
Yeah, you don't think they're doing that on purpose, do you?
Yeah. But what is it? Tuesday. It's Tuesday. All right?
I mean, isn't that they meet every Tuesday? Natural Resources meets.
1 week Thursday, 1 week Wednesday, 1 week Tuesday, just like the state.
Okay, I got you.
But they'll cancel on you real quick. All right? So we had a whole bunch of people was going this past week, and they got canceled, all right? Also, number 3, Maurepas Bass Tournament this weekend, Canal Bank Club. If you can come out and help District 9 and Randy's area, we would sure appreciate it. They're going to have jambalaya gifts for sale there. I don't know what time the check-in, weigh-in is. It's probably safe daylight to 3 o'clock probably, right? So if you're a bass fisherman, come out and support your local fire departments.
They selling stuff for business.
They sell whatever you want, man.
They got an auction.
They're gonna have all kind of stuff.
If I come down there to the Canal Bank, you gonna protect me, Gerald?
So
they're trying to feed me to the alligator. You know that's coming.
So last thing, number 4. So this past Saturday, I think just about every councilman up here, Jill, Randy, myself, we participated down there at Moonlight Inn with a Challenge Adult Association of Louisiana. We doubled the money this year, and it was $26,500 I think we raised for this school here in Walker. So I appreciate everybody coming out, buying jambalayas, and doing the auction. I actually won a brand new gun. All right, I donated it back, and they raised about $8,000 with that gun, off that one gun. So I appreciate everybody donating to that charity. I mean, it's local here. It serves a lot of people here in our parish. So thank you guys and ladies. All right.
Spring Fest. My birthday's tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
So, but besides that, we're good. Thanks.
Randy, just since we didn't say it, Doll Girls left today, headed to Sulphur too.
Oh, good, man.
Representation. Is there any more?
We have a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's Holden Girls.
Oh, I don't know. I got to check into that. I think so.
Softball was.
I can't. I know.
Yeah, we played the #1 team, but we put some smoke in.
All right, guys,
The problem is that 2 out of 3. That's,
Yeah.
back in the day, somebody could roll up in there low seat with an arm and beat somebody, but now it's 2 out of 3 is hard to do.
Make it tough.
first thing I want to do, guys, is make a comment and thank the job that y'all did tonight. I mean, when we walked in here, you couldn't walk through the door, the tension was so bad. All that got put aside, and I'm telling you, you work for the parish, and that's what's so great and rewarding about this. So I want to thank each and every one of y'all, what you done. We got a lot more work to do. Hopefully Monday at 5:30, Tuesday at 5:30, we'll get that started, so.
Yes, sir.
I need you to have motion adjourn.
Second.
Too late.
Motion adjourn. Here we go.
Ma'am?